Hi, welcome to one more episode of Zindagi Ka Safar. And when we're talking about Zindagi Ka Safar, I think it's always God's grace that if you have seniors who are there always to guide you. So two people are behind me. One is my maternal uncle, and another is my maternal aunt. And both of them has been staying in Bangalore for a long time. And when I came here nearly 20 years back, we got connected, and they have always been guiding me through this last 20 years. And there have been a lot of stories which I have been hearing from my uncle. So welcome to Arun Bhattacharya, who is joining us for today's Zindagi Ka Safar. Mama, welcome to this particular show. And
Thank you.
let's start off, because I think in your 8 decades of life, there is so many things which we can learn from hearing about you. But let's start about some instances about your school, something interesting which you have gone through during your school days.
Actually, if I start telling you the interesting thing, the story will be too long. So
Okay.
that is why I will just schematically tell the things,
Okay.
so that it fits into your program.
Okay, fine.
Actually, I was born in Calcutta,
Mhm.
and in the year 1940, about 7 years before independence. I started my schooling, in standard 2.
Okay.
There was no kindergarten, no preschool in our time, So, and from then onwards, the life was, completely free, carefree life, almost you can call it. We used to stay in very close to Kalighat Temple in Calcutta. That is my birthplace also. And we spent there. And now you may ask that have you got anything before independence to tell? Frankly speaking, I was too small.
Okay.
Two things I can tell you. Number one is I have seen Mahatma Gandhi. He came to Calcutta in 1946. So in the leg ground. So I also went there, huge crowd, and I was very small. I went with my father. My father pointed out on the high stage, and there was Mahatma Gandhi in his usual way, as we see in the picture, with bare body, etc. He was giving a lecture. I didn't understand anything, but I could see the profile of Mahatma Gandhi, which matches up whatever we see into the picture. So that is number one. And number two is because Mahatma Gandhi passed away in 1948. He was assassinated. And then in 1950, early 1950, the elder brother of Subhash Chandra Bose, our great leader, pre-independence. So his elder brother, Sharad Chandra Bose, he passed away in the early 1950. And it just happened, our seniors in our locality, they choose me and another of my age to do a planchette. I don't know whether you know planchette. It is nothing but, calling the spirit, calling the spirit, because the person has passed away. His spirit was called.
Okay.
So, and it worked beautifully. He came, Sharad Chandra Bose. He came. And actually there is a pencil and there is a mobile platform in which the pencil is fixed. And he was asked to sign his name, and he signed his name, Sharad Chandra Bose, in a big paper. Yes. So it was real. Still today, I don't know how it happened. So then among many questions, we asked him that whether Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is still alive or not. And he said, yes. Then he said, where is he? We will not tell anybody. He said that, no, I can't tell you. And in that way, it went on for a while, and then he suddenly left. There was no response. Then we got encouraged, and we said, let us call Mahatma Gandhi. We dared to call Mahatma Gandhi. And he came, he appeared.
Okay.
All in the form of writing.
Okay.
And we asked him the same question. And he also said that, yes, Subhash Chandra Bose is alive. That is in 1940. Subhash Chandra Bose actually passed away, I think, in the year 1944. But anyway, these two incidents I remember. And in 1950, actually, the dark cloud actually loomed over our family. In 1950, that is today's Bangladesh, there was a big riot. Okay. And same riot happened in West Bengal also. Okay. So so far there are so many riots. My grandfather, grandmother, uncles, aunties, we are all together. In fact, in Calcutta, we came here because my father was doing service. He was a teacher in a school. But whenever there was a little holiday, we used to go to Bangladesh, Mymensingh, and stayed there during summer holiday, during puja and etc. So suddenly they decided that now the people here has become very aggressive. So we have to leave this place. So, my aunties, their children, my grandfather, grandmother, the two uncles, all of them left, overnight. Okay. And suddenly we had 2 rooms in Calcutta, Kalighat, rented house. Is almost 10 feet by 10 feet, 2 rooms. The kitchen, little detached kitchen, you can call it. So naturally, you can imagine there are about 15, 16 people with a teacher's income at that time, and 15, 16 people all together. Myself, my elder brother, my sister, and my younger 2 sisters, 2 brothers. So the life was becoming very terrible, So my fathers and their brothers, they decided that they will leave this place, Calcutta. We cannot survive. So then we went to a place called Kandi in Murshidabad district. Achha. And Kandi is about the district town of Murshidabad district is Baharampur. And from Baharampur, it is a 35-kilometer interior, deep into the village. So, but we have got no other alternative. So we left for Kandi, and the journey was very pathetic. It was all muddy road, and there were 1 or 2 whole day. There will be only 1 or 2 buses, and through the buses you have to go from Baharampur. Well, anyway, we went there. Finally, we arrived at Kandi. Why we chose Kandi? Because one of the brother of my father, he was working in government as a SSR inspector in the food department. So he was posted in Kandi. So he also suggested, you come here, it is very cheap here, everything is cheap, all surrounded by villages, and you will find no problem with a meager income, you can sustain. So we were there. Then we first, hopped into that uncle's place. It was also a small establishment. We stayed there somehow. I got admitted there in the school. The school is about, when I got admitted in 50s, I'm talking about, the school is already about 150 years old. Oh. So now it must be about 200 years old. One famous person in Bengal, you may have heard his name, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. So it was established by Vidyasagar. It was a dancing place of the Jamindar, dancing hall of the Jamindar. So when Vidyasagar was invited by the Jamindar, so Vidyasagar, he was a reformer, great reformer, not only of Bengal, but of India. He actually introduced the widow marriage at that time. The widow marriage in India. He's responsible for it, to introduce it. For that, there are a lot of books, a lot of stories and etc. Anyway, so he requested the Jamindar, there is no school. why don't you convert this dancing hall into a school? So that dancing hall was converted. So see, it is about, when I'm talking about 50s, it is 150 years old at that time. So now it is more than 200 years old, that school. So I got admitted into the school, and till that time, it was again a fun-loving life, but it was a different fun. In Calcutta, the fun was more, flying the kite, and then playing the street football, and then playing the street cricket, and then making all kind of firecrackers at home. Nobody used to buy firecrackers at that time. Making the firecrackers at home, that was a kind of fun. But here, the fun is different. Very soon, I made friendship with the boys of my age at that time, and then I found they, just to give an example that what kind of that it is called a subdivisional town. It is. The people there were surprised to hear that I have come, by riding a train, because they have never seen a train even. It was not. They have only heard that it was some kind of an engine. A lot of houses which moves on a line, and the engine which drives it. It fumes. Some fumes comes on the top. So you can imagine what kind of subdivisional town it was. But anyway, it was a beautiful place. Just by the side, very close, was Moiraki River, and there are a lot of trees, greeneries, and just across the river there are a lot of fields, and etc. So again, there was a fun in the life, but it is a different type of fun. I very soon, with the help of the boys, I learned how to swim into the river. They knew swimming, but I didn't know. So they were making fun out of me, but they taught me how to swim, and then I started swimming without telling my my father or my parents.
Okay.
So, but then what happened in 1950? My mother passed away.
Oh.
So for my two brothers and two sisters, mother passing, mother is not there. It was a terrible thing. All of us were very small at that time. I was hardly 10 years old. And my younger sister was hardly 2 years old. And it was a joint family, so we could grow very easily. But the affection of the mother, which is essential into the life, that was not there. And my father and their two brothers, they established a shop, retail shop, selling these clothes, particularly saris and dhutis. So it was a small shop. Then gradually, it increased its sizes. Selling was quite good, and we became a little bit financially more stable. So we shifted to a proper, house in another place. Now, so far, I didn't have any goal in my life because it was full of fun, But then my brother, he finished the college. There was a college which used to give teaching only 11th and 12th. At that time, we used to call ISC and IA.
Okay.
It is equivalent to 11th and 12th this time, and that was the end of his study there.
Okay.
So in the meantime, my elder brother, he finished 11th and 12th there. And he finished his schooling actually in Calcutta, So 11th and 12th, he finished there, and then he left for, he finished the school, finished the college in Kandy, and then he left for Calcutta.
Okay.
He stayed in my maternal uncle's place, and from there he used to go to Scottish Church College. So when he went to Calcutta, by that time, I thought that he has gone to Calcutta, so I have to grow also. I have to go there.
Okay.
But then after finishing the college there, in Calcutta, his BSc, then he got admitted to Glasgow, university to study his engineering. Okay. So that is the first time I heard that, there is a subject called engineering. So yes, my brother has gone abroad, so I have to go abroad. So my goal now was established.
Okay.
But then I found that I was just an average student, somehow rolling over the pass mark so far. But in order to go there and etc., so I must, be good in studies. So what is to be done? In the 10th standard, I told my father that, I am not understanding the subjects. So you put up a teacher, So the teacher that was available was a English teacher in our school. He was not a maths teacher. He was the English teacher, But my requirement was mathematics, Sanskrit. Sanskrit was compulsory at that time, Mathematics, Sanskrit, and of course English. English course was quite vast, 250 marks,
Okay.
So, but but what to do? But then when he started, now by the way, at that time there was no electricity in Kandy. There's no electricity, no tap water. People used to use well water or the pond water or the river water for the drinking, bathing, and etc. So I used to take the lantern and go to my, tutor at night, carrying a lantern, carrying some books and etc. through some, trail. On both sides there are jungle. Sometimes snakes will be crossing this side to that side, that to this side. But anyway, we never got scared with snake because we are grown up in that way. But the teacher was, although he was a teacher in English, but he knew that the procedure, how to be good in mathematics and how to be good in English as well as in Sanskrit. That procedure he knew. So with that procedure and buying some books, tutorial books, I started learning mathematics. Mathematics was a terror before that. I started learning mathematics, and then one thing I developed, that is, because he was not a mathematics teacher. So I started reading all the chapters by myself. And that really developed two things. Number one is it developed my capacity to study, by myself and understanding. And number two, I found that my fundamentals are gradually becoming more clear, And then in mathematics, I became so strong in a year. Even there are other students, who are studying with me under the same teacher. Even they are not able to solve a problem. Then the teacher, because he's not a mathematics teacher, he used to ask me that can you do this? I say yes, I can do it. So then I used to do it. So I became very good in mathematics as a result. Plus in Sanskrit and English also, because his method of, how to proceed, that is very important, So simple hard work really does not do anything. People sometimes say, do the hard work, you will be successful. Do the hard work, successful. That is absolutely wrong. You have to do hard work, but there must be some procedure. Somebody has to guide you how to do the hard work, And that really gave me the good result. And I was, one of the, 5 students who got first class, in that whole area, village and our area. I got first class. Even my father never believed that I will get first class. Even the neighbors, neighbors are all, having a grocery shop, small grocery shop, tea shop. Somebody is a goldsmith. They were our seniors, in a village, what happens? Something like that. So even they used to tell that these boys, they are so much, fun-loving. They'll never be good in studies and they will never go. They will be also like us and they'll remain in this village. But actually, to tell you frankly, among our friends, one of them went, to IIT Kharagpur. Myself went to B College, Shibpur, which is one of the oldest and very good college. And another, he got, admission in the Calcutta Medical College. We 3 of us. But anyway, so we finished the schooling, and then, by the way, in Kandy at that time, the girls' education was prohibited. By the time they are 5th standard or 6th standard, they'll get married. I mean, their parents will give them the marriage, and that's the end of it.
Mhm.
My elder sister, naturally, her studies stopped the moment
Okay.
even the girls' college, girls' school was up to 5th or 6th standard. Even
Okay.
you cannot keep a tutor who is a male. That kind of embargo was there. So naturally, but she was highly ambitious. So naturally, she, used to study my books and my notes or whatever is there. And when I started taking the advice from the tutors in the 10th standard, then I used to teach her also mathematics, Sanskrit, English. As a result, my clarity on the subject increased more. And I think that has helped quite a lot, in the final exam. So that is why my advice is that any students, if you can teach somebody simultaneously, that will help you, because while teaching, naturally more problems will come, which you thought that there is not a problem, but now you know there is a problem. So automatically you put more pressure. Then, as usual, both myself and my elder sister, we passed out in the same year. She lost a year actually, and then my elder sister wanted to get admitted into the science. Now, a girl studying science into that college, boys can science. It's 11, 12 I'm talking about, and that is okay. But girl studying science there is never heard of. But my sister insisted, and then met the principal there. The principal says that, look, my dear girl, we have got a very limited apparatus, to do the experiment, because we have to do a lot of experiment, titration in the chemistry lab, and in the other lab also there was a lot of experiment has to be done, finding out the focal length of a what you call not prism, that what you call
Lens.
convex lens. So all these things we have to do. So my sister told, why, my brother is there? Oh, you have got your brother? Like, yes. Well, then there's no problem. So anyway, both of us actually was working in the same lab on the same thing, and both of us passed out. And now my goal is also fixed, that I will become an engineer. I have to go abroad, because my brother has gone there. Now, so I'll come to my life now. Then I thought that where to go, and then I heard that there is a college called in Shibpur. That is the only college in Bengal, Shibpur Engineering College. There's a college, and you have to get admitted there, and you can become an engineer. I said, how to do that? So then I went to Calcutta, spent some time. I lost about a couple of years as a result. And then I met one of my childhood friend, who actually got admitted there. So by that time he has grown also. So I consulted him. I said, how did you enter there? How you entered there? They said, no, there is an entrance exam. So can you give me some question paper, something, so that I can see it? And when I saw it, I found that it was very hard. Physics, chemistry, mathematics. It's quite difficult, but I can manage. But then there is one more subject for which you have to appear, and there is the drawing. Drawing is something, then I said that, look, I don't know. I told my friend that I don't know what to do with it. So when I saw this, I said, I don't know ABC of it. They said, no, we have taken some tutorial. There are a lot of tutorial in Calcutta. So from there, we somehow got used to it, and then we appeared. Then I said, can you teach me something? So he started teaching me. Then taking his, we had at that time the drawing board, and we had to carry the T also to appear in the exam.
Okay.
We carried that, and then physics, chemistry, mathematics, and drawing. And fortunately, I became successful. I entered into the engineering college. And the passing rate, in our time was only 4%. Out of 100 fellows who appears, only 4 people could get into it. Something very hard. But anyway, so now I entered in college. I told my father, my uncles, and etc. They were also very happy. And I am one of the very, you can call it the first few students, maybe I'm the first possibly, I don't know, and that who really got admitted into Indian college. And my friend, of course, who went to IIT Kharagpur, and another friend who went to the medical college, Calcutta Medical College. Anyway, engineering, then we continued. And in engineering, that is in B College, Shibpur, there I first realized that really the good teaching, really clarifies your subject. The teachers are excellent, just excellent. The campus was good, and it was a residential college. You have to stay there. Canteen is there. There the food is served. But the teachers are so excellent. So again, I will come back to that hard work simply does not help. You must have good teacher. And that is why it is important. And that is the reason why the rural students cannot compete with the urban students, because urban students has got a lot of teachers, a lot of tutorials, and they get a lot of information. But rural students, the first thing is they cannot afford all these things. Second thing is, obviously, the rural teachers will not be as excellent as maybe in the urban school, because everybody wants to live in the cities. Then in engineering college, actually, life went on. It was also quite fun, quite interesting, particularly residential college with friends and etc. Study and, chit-chatting with the friends, and then, some games were also available there. So it went on, I crossed it. And then my aim is, to go abroad. How to go for abroad? So I got a job in Calcutta, in engineering. So I used to stay in a mess. I don't know whether you're aware of what is called a mess. It was in the old Calcutta, there are a lot of 4-story, 5-story building. Earlier it used to be rented. Now they gradually converted to a called a mess, where the people who works in Calcutta, but they don't have any place to stay, they can leave, they can rent one room, or in one room there will be 4 fellows or 3 fellows, depending on how much you can afford, and there will be food that will be also served. So I was in the 5th floor of one of the mess in College Street, which is the older part of Calcutta. And from there I used to go to the office on Saturday, Sunday. Then I used to go and apply, for job abroad, going on applying. And then after about 2 years, it clicked, one of them. And thanks to my elder brother also, he also helped quite a lot. And then I got a job in Montreal, Canada, as an engineer, So immediately people started, at that time to carry dollar is impossible. And getting dollar also is impossible. It is not impossible, very difficult. Even to make a passport also is extremely difficult. Everybody goes to touts and whatnot. I don't know touts. I don't know, because nobody is there. I'm alone. My fathers and uncles, they're all in Kandi and they are busy in their retail shop. I'm alone. I don't know what to do, where to begin, how to get a passport. So somebody told there is a passport office in somewhere. So I went there and I found, so many crowds, all, funny looking faces, somebody coming and said, what do you want? Then I knew that there are a lot of touts. Some of them are quite, then I said, okay, first day I went there, looked around, and then I found it is impossible. I don't know what to do. Then again, I returned home, to my mess. And then I started thinking what to do. But anyway, with a lot of hardship and etc., I managed to get a passport. And the money I saved it for my plane fare. My father asked me whether you need any money for, passage. I said, no, I don't require anything. I manage by myself. And then I borrowed, and the money that I saved was just adequate so that I can pay my passage. So naturally, to go abroad, normally people has got a jacket, has got a trouser, has got a necktie, and all these things, you have to go abroad, not like today's. Earlier days, whoever entered the plane, they used to go with with a sophisticated dress, and particularly when you are going abroad. But I cannot afford to buy all those things. Somehow I managed to get something from somebody who was much taller to me. He donated that you can take my trouser and my jacket, and my this necktie was donated by my elder brother in one of his trip. So with that I started. Now I'm always a little adventurous, means not so much adventurous, but a little adventurous. So while booking the tickets, I heard that you can stay, at the company's expense, air company's expense, some 3 places, and if you tell them earlier. So I went to buy the ticket, and then I booked accordingly. So, look at that. So I went, and booked that, and then I got that, yes, one day you can stay in Athens, one day you can stay in Nice. Nice is one of the, best beach in the world, in France. And then you can stay one day in Paris.
Okay.
But you have to stay, on your own expense to London. I said, oh gosh, in London, where to stay? I don't know what to do. But they gave me $9, So I have got only $9 in my pocket, and remaining $500, I can get it only after arriving in Montreal. That is in the Bank of Montreal. There I can, cash it. So again, it was a lot of adventurous journey. The first time when we entered into the plane, as usual in the airport, my sisters, they started crying. There were a lot of my friends. I told my sister that I'm going, but I'm going to come back India after about 4.5 years. Definitely, I can assure you. She said, no, you will not come. Everybody says like that. Already my brother spent quite a lot of time, by that time. So I said, no, I promise you I will come back. But in that way I left. And when I entered into the plane, I have never seen plane in my life, so closely. And when I saw the plane in my life, I entered into it. It was in the evening, all the glittering lights inside, and it was fantastic. And I just, at that time, I said it is unimaginable. It is like a heaven. And all the people were all whites. It was the Lufthansa. So the one of the girl, hostess, he showed me that this is your seat. So I sat down there, and the difficulties. First time you are in the plane, and that too coming from the rural area, which one to tie, how to close the light, how to open the light, and put the seat belt. All these things are unknown to me. But somehow I managed. I think first drop was in Tehran. In Tehran, I found that one more, blackish fellow like my color, he was also there. I didn't see him. It was a huge plane. So I tried to introduce myself, and he introduced himself. Then I found he's a cook, going to London, for taking a cook job. And he was asking Tehran itself, is this London? I said, no, it is Tehran. London will be next stoppage. Oh, I see. Then I asked him what you are doing what you are going. No, I am a cook. He is going to work in a restaurant. And his dress is better than mine. He's much more, better dressed than mine. But anyway, so I will not, I will skip all my passage into the description of the passage. And then I arrived in Montreal. And then I joined the company. The name of the company was Dominion Bridge Company. It is one of the biggest in the Northern America, and doing skyscraper, all steel building, maybe about 30-40 story high steel building, and then bridges, lot of bridges, earlier bridges they have done, all steel bridges. They have got some factories. Each factory is about 300 feet long, about 100 feet wide. Some 4 or 5 factories, one above the other. So I was in the design office. So the first day I went there, the surprising thing is the president of the company, president of this huge company, he came to my seat, shook his hands and said, Bhattacharya, we are so happy, to get you here. I hope you will like us, and etc. I could never imagine the president of a such huge company coming to an assistant engineers, that too coming from, India, and shaking hands, But anyway, that besides, but I was working, and then that is when I started working. I first saw, after going through the drawing and the mechanism, I first found that yes, they work to a very, very detail in their drawing. Even each nuts and bolts, where it will be there, the dimension, and etc. Everything is given so that no questions asked. Because after all, they are building in South America or something, and engineers cannot go there. So drawing has to be very expressive. And the design is so much in detail. So I learned quite a lot, but I didn't stay longer because my ambition was to get some master's degree there, because I knew that I have to come back. I will come back. So naturally, unless I get some master's degree, just getting some experience to get a job in India will be very difficult. So I stayed there for about a couple of years. Then I got, I started applying in US. And then, because without financial assistance, you can't study. But financial assistance is also very difficult, for master's degree. But somehow I managed to get one, which is not a very distinguished college, but my aim was to get a master's degree. So I got something. So there actually, it was Bucknell University in Pennsylvania. So their master's degree is actually master's degree in structural engineering. So their master's degree for 9 months at that time. Now today in USA it is 2 years, but there at that time master's degree was for 9 months, and we could finish it in 9 months. You have to do a project also, So anyway, a few incidents there, that while doing the master's degree, we were all friends, Filipino, Argentinian, French, but Argentinian, then, American, then your, Japanese. We were all together, 10, 12 people. And I used to stay in one place, in a landlady's place, in one room. And my neighbor, another room, was an American. So anyway, a lot of things happened. So one day, landlady didn't have husband. She was about 82 years old at that time. I'm talking about in the year 1967, 82 years old. That lady, because there you cannot get any assistance, either cook or any maid servant to clean your floor. That lady at the age of 82, she was short, about maybe 4 feet, 8 inches or something like that. She was doing by herself everything. And even today, during COVID, we are quite older now. Even during today, COVID, I always tell my wife, your mommy, that I still remember that Mrs. Charles Dill. She was 82 and she was doing everything slowly, but everything, cooking, washing dishes, then, cleaning the floor, tuck, going slowly and doing everything. So why not me? We should be able to do it also. It is a question of your, your toughness of your mind. So, but anyway, that is one incident. So once we actually, all our friends, I told that let us give a birthday party. I came to know his birthday. Once said, let us give a birthday party without telling her. So one day during her birthday, suddenly he found all our 10, 12, when we came together. And how are you? Everybody is telling. We are boys, girls, everybody. How are you, Mrs. Dill? And she was very surprised. I said, no, they are all my friends. I want to introduce them, because she does not know anybody of them. She knows only me. I said, they are all my friends, so we have come here. Then we said, oh, okay. Then she sat, we were sitting together. Then suddenly, we started singing happy birthday to you. You believe me, if you love somebody, show your affection. It comes, you show a little bit of affection. It comes like a love, like a mountain, in return. She was weeping, the tears are rolling down on her cheek, and so, oh my God, what do? I don't have any cookies. I don't have anything. I said, Mrs. Deal, don't bother about it. We gave her some gift also. She was so happy. So that is one incident I remember. And then another incident is that the friend of mine, that American friend, he was working in television, I think in somewhere. So one day she told me that what I said, because I was very talkative, always giving advice to somebody and argue, about India, because India is my country, about Hinduism and all these things. So he told me, why don't you give a lecture on Hinduism? He was a Christian. I said, no, don't tell me to give a lecture on Hinduism. I can argue with a little bit of Hinduism here, but not to give a lecture. No. I will organize a crowd, a small crowd. You give a lecture and we will, telecast it in this area, local CCTV, Then I said, okay, if you wish, I will do. Then he said, but remember, you have to wear dhuti and Punjabi. I said, okay. So the date was fixed. And then I said, now what do I do? Then I went to the bookshop and then studied, the Hinduism by Radhakrishnan, Hindu way of life. And I said, let me study this book a little bit. Thought I know the standard questions, what it was do. So I gave a lecture, and then standard question as usual was coming that why the caste system, what is this caste system? Why this caste system? Why don't you eat cows? These are standard questions, So my advice, anybody goes abroad and stay there, my advice is that you learn a little bit about our own religion, about system, custom, a little bit more, because you go like a, like a representative of India, and you will face this kind of questions in a minute. If you go there for working and then come back, no problem. But if you stay there, these questions are bound to come, and sometimes they will say, we are better, you are less, or something like that. And automatically it affects you, and then you started, showing your anger. But anyway, so somehow we finished master's degree. Then automatically at that time, getting a job in US was so easy because I had the student visa. I could get very easily a job in J.E. Greiner and Company in Baltimore. There's a city called Baltimore, USA. So I could get very easily a job there. And I was doing the job. And then my first job was one ship unloader, in one of their harbor. It crashed and one or two people died. It was a structural steel. So why it crashed and what to do? Because they have got another hundreds of unloader at different, all over the world. So investors, not only me, there are so many other fellows who are doing and giving a report. Each and every unloader has to be investigated, But anyway, in Baltimore, again, myself, and I said that one Argentinian friend, we were working in the same organization. We got the job in the same place. And then we decided that we'll live together. Coming back to Baltimore, normally they say that in Universal City, you don't go, out after evening, after darkness. You can go, you can ride a car, you can drive a car. It's all right. But walking on the street is dangerous. One should avoid it. But I was young, and as I told you, I said that no, it is not true for me. What this will do? Nothing will do. But anyway, I used to roam around a little bit here and there, very cautious. But then this Argentinian fellow, he was also, one day he says that he wants to leave the job and he wants to go back to Argentina. He was from Cordoba. In Argentina, there's a place called Cordoba. So I have to go to Cordoba. I say, you can get a job. How is the job there? They said, yes, I can get a job there. So I said, okay, I will bid you goodbye. So by car, we went there, to the ground station. Ground station is, and some white student, he will take a flight. He will go to the airport. So then I bade him goodbye. It was in the evening, and I put on a ski jacket, which cost about $10 at that time, and a what do you call, trouser, which is, very, very old type of trouser and putting my hair, upside down and looking like a, not an affluent, a street boy or something like that. So I went there and then I bade him goodbye. Then while returning, I found that one fellow is following me. So that is, I said, first I didn't believe it. Then after some time, I found that, yes, he is following me. And not only one, there are two fellows. One is the black and there's the white. Two very young fellows. But anyway, to get rid of them, it was a long story. But finally, it was almost, I would be possibly killed by them if I would, didn't apply my presence of mind. I went to the Hotel Hilton straight away, then told the, not receptionist, one old lady who was selling all these cigarettes and a newspaper and chocolates, etc. I told her that I want to call a policeman. Well, what has happened? There's an old lady. I said, somebody is following me. Oh, somebody is following me. Who will follow you? I said, I don't know. And in the meantime, one cab driver came. He wanted to buy some cigarette in the same. So that lady told that cab driver, Mr. James, can you help this guy? He says that somebody is following you. So cab driver is a tall fellow, bulky, and he said, my dear boy, who is following you? I said, I don't know. Even he has entered into the lounge and I have seen him that he has gone on the other side. Oh, yes, come on, I'll see it. Then I went along with him. And then I found the dead end of the lounge. And I said, where is he? And I said, is there any staircase? And there's any basement? Yes. Then I found in the basement that fellow was loitering. He was ready to follow me again. Then cab driver, I just could not imagine in my life. He took away the pistol, and then said, I will shoot you. The moment he saw that fellow gradually came to me and they said, sir, I don't know you. I said, of course I know you. We actually use the toilet. You use the same toilet. Why you have come here? No, I want to use the toilet. How can you come use the toilet? Just some time back here, we used the other toilet. He said, no, sir, I don't know you. In that way, some argument. Then the cab driver said, forget it. I will kill you with this. You can see it is loaded. Anyway, I should stop there in this. It was an experience, Now, since I told you that I want to come back to India because my father was there and my sisters were there, and I love India. I never wanted to settle, in a foreign country. Although, milk and honey flows on the street. That is what is the proverb says. But I said, this is not for me. Let them drink it. I want to be in my own country. But this incident aggravated my coming back, So I told my brother was in Canada. So he said, I told you, why you are working there? It is all the cities are like that there. And you should never go after evening. You come to Canada. So I came to Canada, then I met him and then I said, no, I want to go back. So I wrote my father also that I want to come back. My father also told, don't come. There is no job here. My father alone, and he was living in our shop. In the backside, there was a small room. In that he was living. He was not living into the usual house. So my father, don't come and etc. Then I said, no, I want to come back. I don't want to. No matter what happens to me, it doesn't matter. I will survive like any other fellows who survive. So I came back to India. I got a appointment as a pool officer in CSIR. That is, Central Scientific Industrial something. And I was appointed there as a pool officer. And the idea is to prevent the brain drain, So, they were giving some monthly something. I was, working in Delhi in Ministry of Defense, So I was there for about 6-7 months. Then I started applying for job and finally I got the job in Tata's. So there my next life started, working as an engineer. Yeah, working as an engineer.
I think it's like, it's wonderful hearing about your from childhood, and there have been so many phases going all the way from a small village to Calcutta and then moving over all the way abroad, and first being in Canada and then being in US.
Yes.
We have already spent around 50 plus minutes on your childhood. So we'll go a little fast. Yeah, we'll go a little fast. So if you can quickly tell about your, maybe in around 5 minutes, about how your work has been at Tata's, and very quickly, if you can give a high level overview of your work.
Initially, I started working in Bombay of Tata's.
Okay.
It is Tata Consulting Engineers. And then we were 10 fellows. It was a big office. Then we were 10 fellows. We came to Bangalore and we started a new office in Bangalore. Today in Bangalore, there are about 400 people. We started it. In Tata's, actually, I found that this is the place where really, the design and drawing, mainly we are doing power plants, and design and drawing are very meticulous, and they have got all written procedure, what to do, and who will design, who will sign, what is each represent. I found that it is following the technique, whatever in abroad, foreign countries are there, and I liked it. So naturally, I engineered several power plants here, and then some cigarette, the tissue paper in which the cigarette, the tobacco is wrapped up. So that tissue paper that is at in Bandel, Tribeni, near Calcutta. So I was in charge of that also. So there is a factory, big factory, to make the tissue paper. So I worked there, in Tata's for about 29 years, and then I left as a chief engineer from there.
Okay.
But then after some time, after living there, after 1 or 2 years, again, I got a call from Tata's, and they said, we want to appoint you as a consultant. Are you willing to do there? So then again, another 10 years, I worked as a consultant. So at that time, my role was, to give lectures, to the engineers who are passing out from IIT Kanpur or Indian Institute of Science or IIT Bombay, because they know the tools, but they don't know how to apply that into the real engineering. So and groom them, to be fit, to be absorbed in our company. So that was my job. So 10 years I have spent like that. And then I'd say that is enough. I was more than 70 by that time. I said, that's enough. Now let us forget about it. So now I am completely retired life for the last about 9 years. There's no work. But even then, so many of friends of mine who are junior, they call me. I said, no, I'm not doing any more engineering. They have got some problem. Sometimes they forgot. I said, no, I forgot about engineering. No, sir, with your conception, you tell me. So in that way, still it was going on, But anyway, now I am more busy because so far I have only read engineering. I have never had the time to read other books. But I found that unless and until you read other books, you are really not a complete man. Complete knowledge. Your knowledge is not complete unless you read some other thing. So I read now, physics, quantum physics. Of course, I don't understand the detail of it, but whatever I can understand, I found that physics is completely different, and physics has become statistical. Can you imagine? Nowadays, the modern physics is statistical.
Yes,
it is not definite. But with the statistical physics itself, now there is a quantum computer and all these kind of things are coming, which are being used in artificial intelligence and whatnot. And then I read history. History, actually, what I read was different. Now I read history. I read on religion. I read different books. And then I'm doing some social service, like I brought water, into our area by fighting with BBMP. Others, they actually put up what they call bore well, which has gone down, spending about ₹1 lakh. But I said, no, I will not do that. I will fight it out. So I went to the chief engineer's office in Kaveri building and told there and gave me my card as a chief engineer. And then automatically I was welcomed in his office because he was also chief engineer. And then I told him that this is the situation. How come it has happened? And if you cannot solve this problem, this supplying of water is also my subject. You give me your chair and your stuff. I told exactly the same way. You give me your chair and your stuff. I will solve the problem. Why this is not coming? And people there, they say that, Bhattacharya, you cannot bring the problem because I have fought it for the last 10, 15 years. So no, sir, we'll bring it. We'll see that you get the water. And believe me, within about 10, 15 days, the water started trickling in our sump, myself and all my friends. So similarly, whenever I find and somebody brings my attention, but now I try to avoid. Even some 5, 6 years back, I used to go and entangle myself and fight it out, and that is how I'm spending time, like this.
Giving back to society.
Okay. Giving back to society. Okay. That's all. That's my life.
Okay, it is a wonderful journey, and as I said at the starting, because we are talking about close to 8 decades, which is there, and we are trying to just squeeze in a very, very short period of time. Maybe we should do multiple.
It is difficult. 8 decades, and because I'm a little adventurous, there are so many things I can say.
Yeah,
really, but it cannot be finished.
Yes,
like this.
So
but anyway,
yes.
it is glad that you interviewed me, and you welcomed me, and thankful to you.
Okay, so it was a pleasure,
Okay.
and I think the same thing will be there for all viewers who will really enjoy not only hearing about you, but also taking a lot of valuable lessons which you have shared with us. Thanks a lot for taking the time out
Thank
and
you.
sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, bye
Thank you.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.